A substantial amount of Halo Infinite players that play on console are asking to be opted out of crossplay. And this is not a video about people complaining that PC players got it better, controller players got it better. This is specifically console people asking, since they've seen many people playing Halo Infinite on PC using aimbots and cheating. Halo Infinite multiplayer came out on November the 15th, almost a month earlier before its original release date. And the great thing about the multiplayer is that it's completely free to play, so anybody can pick it up and enjoy it. But with depressing predictability, a free-to-play competitive game like Halo Infinite will always have its downsides. That being a small group of people downloading aim assist applications so they can ruin everybody else's game. Thankfully, the theater mode feature that you can use to look at previous games that you've played allows us to catch and identify these cheaters who are using these aim hacks. You're able to flip between different players' first-person view, and from here we can see how they behave, where they move, what weapons they use, when they fire, etc. And in this gameplay I'm showing you now, this person recorded the other person's point of view in the theater mode, and we can see this cheater firing preemptively before his enemy comes into his line of sight. And it's not just that, when we see this player leave this cheater's line of sight, you can still see his crosshair following the head of that player, despite there only being a wall in front of him. This is one of the biggest indications that someone is cheating. When the person who recorded this footage confronted the cheater, he said he responded saying he was only using a controller mod. That is evidently a lie. We know this guy is using a PC because of his drastic movements from left to right with his camera, something controller players don't do. They don't have this rapid turning to the left to try and react to something. There's always a max speed of how they can move their camera around. This is obviously not the first or last complaint somebody had about cheaters in Halo Infinite. On the Halo subreddit, somebody found someone cheating just under a week after the game launched, meaning people have already broken through Halo Infinite's anti-cheat system in less than 5 days. Now, to play devil's advocate, we don't actually know if any of these cheaters have been banned yet, and we know cheating systems has been on Halo Infinite developers' minds because they've openly announced that they turned off the reticle turning red when you're highlighting an enemy for PC players. They do this specifically so they can prevent shooting aim assist from firing as soon as the reticle turns red. What that cheat does is it reads your monitor's pixels and what color they are, and they wait for the crosshair color to turn from white to red, and that's when it auto fires for you. That as a programmer is really easy to code, so when Halo Infinite developers stop that feature from happening, they have to find more complicated workarounds to circumvent it. But to see people circumventing it in less than a week is a little bit worrying. Not to mention, there isn't a sophisticated way to report these cheaters in-game. Of course, Xbox console players can report the gamer card of opponents, but it doesn't specify which game that they were cheating in, and it's only really used for when somebody's being vulgar or harassing someone through voice notes or voice chat. For reporting someone for cheating in a specific match of a specific game is probably going to fall on deaf ears. For PC players, it's actually worse. There is a report button that you can use, but you have to type in all the information, including the player's name, manually. I assume they do it this way to ensure that people don't spam report someone if they're having a bad game, but at that point you may as well not have the report system in there anyway. If we go all the way back to 2016 and 2017, where PUBG Battlegrounds was really big at the time, that game suffered from so many cheaters.
Oh my.
He just became Superman.
And it wasn't until another year later that they finally implemented the easy anti-cheat to prevent people from hacking their way to a victory. But it wasn't just PUBG that added this system in. Fortnite was another big FPS that implemented it as well. It's extremely effective at what it does, and it is really easy for developers to implement it into their game. But players have been very critical of it, saying it tanks performance and increases startup time. Other games like Valorant uses a different system called Vanguard, an always-on anti-cheat system that does a really good job at purging cheaters. However, big YouTube channel Some Ordinary Gamers about a year ago mentioned about how this is a huge risk to the user, because this system, as well as easy anti-cheat, requires a kernel driver to your PC, which essentially gives this easy anti-cheat the highest authority on your PC system. Means it runs as soon as you turn on your computer and has administrator levels of authority authority. Coming back to Halo Infinite, they don't have something like this implemented for PC players, meaning that they have to string together their own anti-cheat system that doesn't have such a high authority on your PC, as well as not to take up too much processing power on your PC. Unless you're using a third-party system, this is incredibly hard to build for a specific game. So this is why console players are so frustrated at PC players on Halo Infinite. Whilst it is possible to install cheats on a console, it's significantly harder than it is on PC. That's because consoles like PS4 and Xbox One require you to be on the latest firmware before you can run any game online. There is a very small silver lining to this, however. You can choose whether to be matched with players using controllers or mouse and keyboard while playing solo or as a duo in Halo Infinite's ranked arena mode. But there is no such option in Quick Play or the current Fracture Tenrai event. And according to the AntiCheat Police Department Twitter account, they said that they found 12 different cheat providers for Halo Infinite. For as little as $8, you can ruin everyone else's day. 343 Industries have yet to make a comment about the PC cheaters at the moment. This is all still fairly new, and whilst many haven't encountered cheaters yet, the people that have are making a bit of an uproar about it. And there's no hints or rumors from Halo Infinite developers as of now of whether or not controller players can opt out of crossplay. But it's not just cheaters that is causing a divide between console players and PC players. Many people who use mouse and keyboard have had a bit of an uproar about how controller players have too much when it comes to aim assist and bullet magnetism. Now, we have actually covered this in the past briefly. Between the second technical preview of Halo Infinite to its launch on the 15th of November, they actually buffed the aim assist and bullet magnetism for a large range of weapons for controller players. Now, of course, controller players do need some sort of aim assist and bullet magnetism to help them keep up to pace with PC players who can rapidly move their camera around and have precision aiming. Most games like Apex Legends, Overwatch and Call of Duty have these systems in place. But for people who are playing Halo Infinite on PC, they're saying this aim assist is far too high and well too effective. And there is actually evidence supporting this. If we take a look at all the players who have signed into HaloTracker.com to track their performance on Halo Infinite, we can take a look at their average accuracy percentage with all weapons and how they're playing Halo Infinite. If we take a look at the accuracy percentage of the 50th percentile of people who play with keyboard and mouse, they're about 5% less on average than the 50th percentile of people who play on controller. But it actually gets worse. The top 100 players on Halo Infinite playing with keyboard and mouse are less than 3% better than the 50th percentile of people who play with controllers. Imagine that. The top 10 people playing Halo Infinite right now with mouse and keyboard are going to have a bit of a challenge with the average controller player. But it doesn't stop there, it actually gets even worse. The top 100 controller players have 10% more accuracy than the top 100 keyboard and mouse players. That is one very powerful controller aim assist system right there. And I only see this graph widening even more as more people get better at Halo Infinite. So now there's another angle to this argument where PC players also want to opt out of crossplay with controller players, because the higher the ranking you go, the less mouse and keyboard players you'll see. Now, one very popular response I see to this data is that Halo is a console game. It started as a console game, it'll finish as a console game. And personally, I think that's an extraordinarily weak argument. Halo isn't just for console players, it's for everyone, and there should be systems in place that balances controller players alongside mouse and keyboard players. And controller players who fundamentally disagree with that, I think, come off as a bit elitist. But that is actually where I pass the question over to you guys. Do you want to have the ability to opt out of crossplay, not just in ranked but also in quick play and event modes? Do you also believe PC players have it too good, or do you believe console players have it too good? And also, have you seen cheaters in your games of Halo Infinite? Let me know all your answers to these questions in the comments down below. I read all of them and I'll get back to some of you as well. And as I mentioned before, if you want to talk more about Halo Infinite as well as Star Wars too, why not join our Discord with the invite code in the pinned comment down below. We have a really nice, close-knit community, not to mention it is also quite active and has a great meme economy as well. We actually have a huge competition going on with a big first prize for the best EcksToo meme, so why not join and get involved in that as well. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.